Welcome to Fierce Conversations with Toby, the podcast where we dive deep into the art of overcoming. Here we share powerful stories that ignite healing and inspire profound transformations in your own journey. I'm Toby Dorr, and together we'll explore the resilience, courage, and fierce determination that turn life's challenges into stepping stones for growth. Let's begin this transformative journey together. Hi, welcome back to Fierce Conversations with Toby. Today, I am so excited to introduce you to Susan Mathews, who's a mother, author, speaker, and co-founder of Love Without Reason. Love Without Reason is a nonprofit that works to fight human trafficking, prevent it, and end it before it starts. The organization was birthed through the journey of her first child, Philip. Welcome, Susan. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you so much, Toby. I'm excited to be here.
I'm really excited. You have an awesome story. But before we dig into your story, can you tell me what your favorite color is and why?
My favorite color, for as long as I can remember, it's always been green.
Ah,
Green.
yeah. A
And
particular shade of green or just all of them?
I really like the hunter green. I don't really care
Uh-huh.
for puke or olive
Yeah.
green.
Yes. Yes. That's a good way to describe it. Yeah. Yeah.
I used to tell people that I didn't know this, but green is the first color mentioned in the Bible.
Oh, is it
And it
really?
is
I
Genesis
didn't
1.
know that either. I had no idea either. That's pretty powerful. I didn't think about that.
Well, I mean, I would just say it to tease people, but I don't
Uh-huh.
know why. Maybe that's the reason why it's my favorite.
I love that. I just love that. So I came across you. I can't even remember now, but I read a post about your son, Philip, and I thought you had such an amazing journey through his life. And I really wanted to give you an opportunity to share that with the rest of the world. So tell us a little bit about Philip and his story.
Well, his story it's pretty long, but in brief, when I was pregnant, expecting Philip, I was told that he would be born dead. Um, they
Uh,
they they found that he had a cleft lip, cleft palate.
mm-hmm.
They weren't
Mm-hmm.
sure something was wrong with the right side of his face, and they also found multiple holes in his heart. And all of those surgically can be corrected, but what they couldn't find in the ultrasound was his stomach. And
Oh.
because of that and the other complications, they told me he would be born dead, and it would be just better that to go ahead and terminate pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to do that. We're people of faith, and I just did, this is our first baby, and so we were praying for a miracle. And
Mm-hmm.
we prayed for a miracle and spent several weeks just praying and then going to see different specialists. And when it was time to go and do the second ultrasound, my doctor just read it and said, "You know what? I don't know where it came from, but I see the baby's stomach right where it's
Oh,
supposed to be. All the other
wow.
problems are there, but now he
Mm-hmm.
has a chance to live." So
Wow.
Philip was born alive, and of course, the ultrasound can only show you so much. This
Mm-hmm.
was 24 years ago, so the ultrasound can only show you so many things. And after they scanned his brain after he was born, they told me that he didn't have an eye or an ear on the right side, and his jaw was very underdeveloped, and he was also missing the center part of his brain. So they
Mm.
told me that it was just a very poor prognosis. Maybe he would
Mhm.
be medically, developmentally delayed, wouldn't be able to walk or talk, go to school like the other children, and plus he had all the other challenges as well.
Mhm. And what does the center part of your brain control?
So the corpus callosum kind of controls. It's like the information highway for the left and the right hemispheres of the brain.
Mhm.
So the coordinated activities that even walking, yeah, riding a bike, they told me that he would just never be able to do that,
Mhm.
and the communication between both hemispheres, that would not be there. So it was just all of that combined, I think, with everything else that they
Mhm.
saw with his brain, the shape of it, and everything. The absent eye and ear just made it look like he would probably be in the bedbound for the rest of his
Ah,
life.
I can relate in some ways. My second child, a daughter, my only daughter, uh, I kind of knew something was wrong during her pregnancy, but she would have been 42 this year. So they didn't do sonograms back then.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a sonogram, it was like something way out of the ordinary. But I
Mm-hmm.
just had this feeling that something just wasn't right. It just didn't feel right. And she was born and she had so many issues. She had a double cleft palate. She had spina bifida. She had hydrocephalus and microcephaly, which one is a
Oh,
brain that a head that's big because it's full of fluid, and the other one is that her brain is smaller than normal. There was
oh.
just so many things. A diaphragmatic hernia.
Mm,
She only had one lung. Her heart, all of her organs were in her chest, came through that diaphragmatic hernia. She had so many things against her,
mm,
and she lived for 18 hours and 31 minutes.
mm.
And people have asked me since then, would you have chosen to abort her if they could have told you all that before she was born? And my answer was always no. You
Mm.
know, she was given 18 hours and 31 minutes, and it wasn't my place to take that away from her. And so I can relate with the angst of not knowing what's going to happen and wondering what the future could be. But Philip did make it. He lived to be, how old was he when he passed away?
He was 19 years old.
19. So he had a life. So tell us about Philip's life. What was life like with Philip?
Well, the first few years, he was in a special school here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, is where we live. And it's called Siskin Children's Institute, where they have children who have normal abilities and then those who have developmental challenges. And they had them in claurooms together.
Oh, that's pretty powerful, really. I like that.
I like it. I liked it too.
Mhm.
It was very good. So the
Instead
first
of separating them.
Yes, ma'am. And
Mhm.
the first 2 years, we did individual family training, so it was one on one with the teachers and therapists. But then when he joined the classroom at age 3, it was with peers, and so he was definitely there were challenges. He didn't talk for the first few years, and we had to learn sign language. And it
Mhm.
was very challenging for all of us to learn to communicate. Feeding also is a challenge for cleft children, so we couldn't feed him by mouth. We had
Mhm.
his first surgery was a G tube, so that was how we fed him for the first 2 years of his life. So these were all stages, and we were just growing with him. I think we were in our mid 20s, so we were also growing up and taking care of this child with so many special needs. But we started to see that the things that the doctors told me he would never do, he started to do them. He did
Mm.
start to crawl, he did start to walk. And slowly the sign language and the grunting and the pointing changed to sounds and to
Oh.
words. And he started talking. He started eating. I got to buy him a Happy Meal, just
Uh-huh.
fun, all those fun things that, you look forward to as a
And
mom
most
taking care of.
parents take for granted, but,
Yeah.
buying him a Happy Meal, I could see what a milestone that would be.
It
Yeah,
was
that's
it was
awesome.
huge. It was huge,
Mhm.
and he had friends, and he by the time he finished at the Siskin Children's Institute, he was almost 6 years old, and we weren't sure how we could put him into the public school system or what was the next step. And when the state did their test and evaluated him, they said Philip has no developmental or mental delays. He's ready
Wow.
for kindergarten. So he went into kindergarten, and then when he finished the 5th grade, he got accepted into a college prep school here in Chattanooga called the Macaulay School. And the Macaulay School, they have, Philip was not a straight A student,
Mhm.
maybe not even a straight B student, but he was very much a hard worker. And I think the school captured the admissions team at the school was so sweet. They were like, Philip may not need Macaulay, but Macaulay needs Philip.
Oh,
And so he just went into that school system there. It's an all boys school. And from 6th grade until 12th, and graduated on May 19th, 2019. Walked across the stage and was like, Mom, they said I would never do it, but here I am. So,
wow.
had a B average GPA, and he was so proud. So proud.
I love that. That's such a beautiful story. And you have started an organization called Love Without Reason. So tell me a little bit about that.
So, when Philip was born, we had never seen other cleft children before, and we're so just zoned in on him, and just so focused on him that we didn't see anything else. And in a place where my husband lost his job and I was trying to finish up my schooling, I was getting a master's in nursing. It was a place where we were trying to figure out what was our future, what were we going to do, and how are we going to take care of. We have three children now. Philip was our
Mhm.
oldest, and so we Philip was about 7 years old, and that's when my husband saw this documentary of a cleft child who was tied to a tree and was being stoned because she
Oh,
couldn't speak properly. And this was in Indonesia.
uh-huh.
And it was just like the light bulb went off for him. It was like, we have Philip for a reason. Maybe we
Mhm.
should help other children who are born like him. Because up until that point, we never thought that there are other children that are like Philip.
Mhm.
So that's when we started Love Without Reason in 2007, just with the intention to help other children that are born with cleft and craniofacial birth defects. It was only after we started the organization that we understood that children who are born with these differences are also sold into human trafficking networks.
Oh,
Didn't know that when we started the organization. So that's
wow.
how we say that this is our mission, to fight
Mhm.
human trafficking.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. That's really powerful. I love that. Most people hope to make some kind of a difference in their life, but then there are those people who really go out and make a difference, and I think that's what you've done. And I love there's a lot of people who say, wouldn't you like to wish the hard times out of your life? And it's like, no, that's what really makes you excel. That's what brings forth the strength and the power in you, or those hard times. And you're a great example of someone who's taken something that might have devastated other families and turned it into something so positive and so powerful and so world changing.
Thank you, Toby. I'm telling you, this is not what I planned, though.
Yes, it
This was
never
not,
is it?
it never was. And so, but it's amazing how, it's, how, we're broken. We were broken
Mhm,
pieces, and
mhm.
how God can just reshape that and make something that's beautiful. And that was actually a scripture that was given to us when I was pregnant with Philip. It's like God is going to reshape this
Oh,
baby. And who would have thought that it's not just the baby but the parents too are going to the whole
yes.
family, is going to be
Yes, it's gonna
reshaped.
get reshaped. Yes, that's just
Yes.
so beautiful, I think. I just love that. So, tell me a little bit about how when Philip died. What was that day like? Was it unexpected? Were you preparing for it? What was that experience like?
Well, we Philip had his 25th surgery was the stomach ulcer surgery,
Mhm,
and it was unexpected. Nobody knew how that happened or where it happened, but the
mhm,
surgery was successful. He was in the ICU for several days. It was the complications, I think, similar to your daughter, because
mhm,
he had scoliosis. One lung was small, one lung was normal.
mhm,
So recovering from surgery, which Philip always had challenges with recovering from surgery, but
mhm,
he always recovered. This
mhm.
time it just took him longer. And finally, we got out of the ICU, and he was having severe back pain. No, we weren't sure what it was, except that he was not used to sleeping on his back, which is what had to
Oh,
happen after
uh-huh.
surgery.
Yeah.
And so he coded.
Oh,
We were walking him because we were told to walk him, and he coded. And they did 11 minutes of CPR on him, and we brought him back.
mm,
But they weren't sure what the reason was. Why did his heart stop?
mhm,
So
mhm,
after doing all the testing and putting back in the ICU, it was, the next 3, 4 days, it was the way the doctors even described it. It's like, we do some treatment and it works for a few hours and then it stops working.
mm.
And they were just saying, it doesn't make any sense to us. It doesn't make any sense to us. It's like Philip doesn't want it to work.
Oh,
And I was like, nobody talks about things like that, right? But
yes.
But on the fifth day, my husband would stay with Philip all night and I would stay with him all day. So all night long on the fifth day, we were there was a line that we drew. It was like either we put him on ECMO or we don't, and we just do all the other treatment. And ECMO was something that was going to be very, there were so many unknowns, and Philip's pediatrician who's taken care of him all 19 years was just like, you can put a child on it, but you may not be able to ever get him off. So is that the right way? And all
Mhm.
the other risks that was involved with it. So that was our line. And we decided not to do that. But we were trying all the other treatments, and my husband was just praying and asking God. And he said that it's like he saw a dream of all the life journey of Philip, all the surgeries, everything that he had been through, and all the things that he had done, speaking, traveling to 13 countries, sharing his story to millions of people. He saw all of it. And at the end, he said God was asking him, what more does Philip need to prove to you?
Wow.
And it
Oh
was just
my.
like, Philip, there's nothing that can keep Philip from coming back to this earth. There's no devil, there's nothing, no power, except that Philip himself has made a decision that he wants to go home. And he's waiting for mom and dad to release him. So when I came to the hospital that morning, Sandosh is telling me this. He's like, we need to release him. And I was like, oh, no, we're not releasing him. What are you talking about? And as soon as I said that, it's like God put it back in my heart. Just a few days while Philip was awake, he had told me, Mama, 25 surgeries is enough. And I don't want to do this again. And at the
Wow.
time, I was telling him, I was like, Philip, we're going to get through this surgery. You don't need to worry about, he was supposed to have a big surgery on October the 24th in Nashville. That was the big operation we were preparing for. But of course, everything was going to be postponed to the year 2020. And so I
Mhm.
told him, let's just get through this. And you need to come out of the hospital with me. And he said, Mama, nobody understands my pain. And
Mm.
25 surgeries is enough. I don't want to do this again. And so it was like, he was trying to tell me, but I didn't get it. And so
Mhm.
everything came together on that last day. And it was very peaceful. I understood that he did want to go home.
Mhm.
And we just released him back to the Lord. And it was very peaceful, no struggle. And we miss him terribly. Just can't, I know you understand me.
Yes. Yes.
Miss him so much.
Mhm. That is so beautiful. And, I feel, I mean, this is my belief. My youngest son died of cancer when he was 24, 17 days before his 25th birthday.
Okay.
And you could look at it as a tragedy. You could look at it as a great wound, but I've chosen to look at it as whatever his purpose was here, he finished it in less than 25 years. And
Yes.
so I should rejoice in that because I'm still here. I haven't even got mine done yet.
Right.
And he managed whatever it was, whatever his purpose was, he did it,
Yes.
you know. And I think that just totally changes the way you look at death. And what a beautiful story. I love the story of your husband's vision of his whole life. And I do think that clinging to life and extending life when it's not right
Yeah.
doesn't benefit anybody. That's not
Yeah.
life.
That's
So,
exactly what my husband said. He said, if we pray for Philip to get up from this hospital,
mhm.
he needs to be whole. No more
Yes.
surgeries.
Mhm.
Otherwise, why would we want him to continue in this, frail body and
Yes.
struggle?
And suffer in pain. Yes.
Yes.
I think it's so beautiful. So, Philip, really, how many countries did you say he visited and you told his story in?
He traveled
How
in 13 countries.
13 countries. I mean, what an
Yes.
impact for someone to make on the world in just 19 years.
Yeah.
That's powerful. That's such a
Yeah.
powerful story.
Yes.
So, how does your family keep Philip's presence as part of your life?
Sure. Well, there's definitely, with the mission of love without reason.
Mhm.
You know, I, I honestly, we did not know after we buried Philip. Could we continue on with Love Without Reason? I did
Mhm.
not know. We were probably at that point, we were maybe over 500 surgeries that we had done in just three countries at that time, just in Zimbabwe, Kenya, and in India.
Mhm.
So I didn't know what, is this the end? Because Philip was
Mhm.
the biggest spokesperson for Love Without
Yes.
Reason.
Mhm.
And he would frequently, when he would join with us, when the children would join with us on the missions, he would take his own album and go and tell the parents, this is how I was
Ah.
born. Now look at
Mhm.
me. Your child
Right.
just has this. Your child is going to
Uh-huh.
be okay. Your baby's going to be fine. So I just didn't know. So one way I feel like that he is living on is we've had the strength to continue the mission
Mhm.
of Love Without Reason. We've actually expanded into different countries and also different states within India now. And we just crossed the 1,000th surgery milestone.
Wow, that's amazing. So your organization helps fund surgeries for children that need them,
Yes.
as well as doing your work for, ending human trafficking.
Yes, exactly. We started, like I said, when we started the organization, we thought it was just going to be providing cleft surgeries, and then we learned that they're also sold
Mhm.
into human trafficking networks. So when we do the cleft missions, we take a time to also train the parents and all of our volunteers on human trafficking.
Wow, that's
Yes,
powerful. That's a
yes.
huge difference.
So his
Philip,
smile lives on.
yes, I love that. I mean, Philip sounds like such an amazing young man and with beautiful parents that gave him the grace and the courage to become what he needed to be.
Oh,
So,
thank
I
you,
think
Toby.
it's such a beautiful story. I just love it.
Thank
Just love
you.
it. So I'm gonna include in the show notes a link to the website without lovewithoutreason.org. So
Okay.
you'll be able to any reader who or listeners out there that wants to get involved and help with this wonderful mission can do so, or you can learn more about it. And we'll include other links that I get from Susan as well to include. I just what a story. It just warms my heart. I think it takes special people to look at losses, as a positive instead of a
Mhm.
negative because the whole world wants to dwell on the negative part of it all, and it doesn't have to be that way, and I don't really think you do service to those who've gone before us by
Hmm.
looking at their death in such a negative way and thinking what a
Right.
tragedy it was. You have to look at the good side, I think.
You do, but it's so hard. It is
Mhm,
so hard. I didn't know, like I said, I could we get back up off of our feet? I did
mhm.
not know if we could do it, but thank God.
Yeah, and how did your other 2 children do through Philip's death?
Well, at the time, my daughter was 16 years old and my youngest was 14. And it's that time frame, that age, it's so hard on the
It's a
children.
tough age just to
Yes.
get through on a good day.
Yes,
Mhm,
it is. It's so hard, and I think there are some things that they're dealing with even today, but
mhm.
they have definitely come a long way. They've grown after battling a lot of things, even within themselves.
Mhm.
The sibling issues.
Yes.
My daughter is she was the middle child, but she really was like a little mother to Philip and to
Mhm,
her little brother.
mhm.
She loved them both that way and took care of them. So it was very hard on her. But to see them grow and also to take on roles, we talked about this with the children. It's like your brother saw greatness in you
Yeah,
because
oh, I
he
love
would
that.
push that he would push them to speak and push them. He would always say to us, especially in the latter years, he was like, "Why is it that people want me to go and speak? They should ask Sarah to go and talk. They should ask Caleb to go and talk." And it's almost like he was preparing them to be, to launch them out.
Wow, that's powerful. I love that. I
Yes.
just love that.
I love watching them. So they've come through a
Mhm.
long way, Toby. And my youngest, he's actually graduating next week from the same school that his brother did.
Uh-huh.
So it's going to
That's
be just full
exciting.
circle.
Yes. Yes, I love that. So, what's one question you wish I'd asked? Something we didn't talk about that you'd like to share?
Well, um, how do we carry on day after day? I don't know. Just
And some days it's just one foot in front of the other, I think, and that might be the best you can do on that day, but
and
it's a
that
step forward.
and
Mhm.
being okay with that.
Yes.
Myself, I think, just as mothers, going through a loss of your baby, of your child, is something that is, it's a tragedy not everyone can understand.
Mhm.
But those who do have gone through that before. That's why they understand it. And so you try to encourage another person, which is not always easy, but encouraging yourself also has to happen. So
Mhm.
telling your own body and telling your own soul to get up and let's get through this day, because that's what my child would want. And
Mhm.
that's the mark that I have to make. Like you said, I'm still here, so there's a reason why I'm still here.
Mhm.
I've got to accomplish it while I'm here.
Yes, so Philip's your inspiration really, I think, to move forward, and probably so many people that you don't even know about on a given day. They might have seen his story or heard him speak somewhere,
Sure.
and and he's still changing lives to this day even though he's gone.
Yeah, that's
That's so
unreal to me,
powerful.
but yes, thank
Mhm.
you.
Yeah. So is there a question you'd like to ask me?
Well, how do you carry on, Toby?
You know, I just I have learned to look at the darkest days of my life as the biggest blessings.
Mm,
And, they were things that conditioned me to just find a way to move forward and move through it. Um, I think resilience is pretty important to me, and it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, I have these kind of black eyes still, but 2 weeks ago, I tripped and fell in a parking lot, landed on my face, and my whole face was black and blue. It's starting to clear up, and and my husband said, "You just bounce back from anything." It's like, "Well, what else could you do? Who wants to just lay there and be miserable?"
wow.
So, yes, you have to find something positive in every cloud. There's a silver lining. And
Wow.
sometimes you have to look so hard to find it, but it's there. And if you focus on that instead of the darkness, you can get through anything, really.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
feel like I learned from those who have gone through this path, and I just want to ask you that.
Mhm.
So, how do you make it happen?
Yes. I just and I really think that looking at Emily and Greg's deaths as accepting that they whatever their purpose was here on earth, they accomplished it. Emily
Mhm.
did it in 18 hours and 31 minutes.
Mhm.
Greg did it in 17 days short of 25 years.
Mhm.
I'm 66 and a half, and I haven't done it yet. So they're the ones who are blessed, I'm the one trudging on. And it just there has to be a good side to it all. There has to be a bigger picture.
Yes. Wow.
And someday I'll understand the bigger picture and
Yes,
it'll
ma'am.
all come together. So
Yes.
that's what I cling to. It's
It's
been
awesome.
awesome. I've loved having you on, Susan. What a powerful story. I'm so glad our paths crossed. I don't even know how they crossed, but what a blessing it's been.
Same for
So,
me.
yes. So let's end with what's one word that inspires you?
One word that inspires me.
Mhm. What's your power word that you think of when you need that extra inspiration?
Hmm. I don't know. I don't. It's only one word, or is it a phrase? What should I
Well, it
do?
could be a phrase. It could be a phrase.
You know what? I think I would go with the title of Philip's book. It
Oh,
was "If Philip Can, You Can Too."
oh, I love that. I didn't even know if Philip had a book.
Yes, if
I'll
Philip
provide a
can.
link to that too in the show notes for our
Sure,
listeners.
sure. That we published it, after he went home. But his English teacher and different, I found his journals and emails, all these things, and
Oh
we
my
put
gosh,
everything
how
together. And
beautiful.
yeah,
Is that available on Amazon?
it is on Amazon. That's the only thing
Excellent.
I put. Yeah.
Excellent. I'm gonna provide a link to that, and I'm gonna go out and order one today. I need to read that. I think that's so beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you so much, Susan. I have loved every minute of our conversation, and I'm sure our listeners will too.
Thank you, Toby.
You're so welcome. Thank you for tuning in to Fierce Conversations with Toby. Your support means the world, and I hope today's episode made a positive impact on you. To keep our conversations going, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen. A 5-star rating, like, comment, or review helps tremendously in spreading our message. You can also support the show by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/fierce conversations. All members receive a downloadable gratitude journal and access to a private Facebook group. Plus, 10% of your subscription goes directly to donating my workbooks to women in prison. Finally, sharing this episode with your friends and family is a great way to amplify our mission. Fierce Conversations is created and hosted by me, Toby Dorr, with production by Number 3 Productions. The theme music, Grieving, composed by Lisa Class, features Lisa on flute, Carolyn Parody on piano, and Tony Ventura on bass. Learn more at tobydor.com. Thanks for listening, and remember, escape your prison.